Hello, everyone. So my name is Amiad Soto, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Guesty. So as you saw from the previous title, I'm going to speak about how we moved from cleaning toilets to a company that raised $60 million and is valued at triple digits. And just like the previous talker, funding was hard just as much for us, even though we did find success in it. We got 40 no's for every one yes. So my tip here is just to keep going. So why should you listen to me? First of all, Guesty is already 215 plus employees. I think we just crossed 230. This is in 5 offices around the world and counting. We raised 16 million, as I mentioned. We have customers in more than 70 countries. And as I mentioned, it wasn't always like this. So here you can see me sitting as a student. One thing that you didn't say is that I'm actually a college dropout myself. I was a student in Tel Aviv University for industrial engineering, and I was extremely bored. And one of the things I always thought about is, what ideas can I work on? And I had an idea about travel expenses reporting, and I had a lot of ideas. But the thing that really hit me, is when both me and my identical twin brother went on vacations. And when we went on vacations, I don't know if you know, but the rent in Tel Aviv is extremely high. And we didn't want to lose our rent. So we thought, let's Airbnb those, right? So that was 2012. I was traveling to the US. That was my apartment. My brother was traveling to Spain. And this is a real story. My brother was sitting in the beach in Barcelona, and he got just tons of messages. And then the cleaner couldn't show up, and all of a sudden you find out that there's way too much work involved with this. And we told each other about this, experiences. Both of us had these horrible experiences, and we said, there's reviews, there's cleaning, there's guest communication. I don't know how many of you stayed in an Airbnb in the past, but there is tons of questions like, what's the Wi-Fi password? How do I get in? How do I turn on the heater? And all these kind of things. And taking care of check-in. We felt, wait, there's no way Airbnb is exploding like that with so much work involved. There needs to be here's my keys, give me the check, kind of like experience. And since we couldn't find one, we decided to open one ourselves. And we called it Superhost. That's a picture of me and my brother. And that's a sketch of our first website. We host your Airbnb place for you. That was as simple as that. And with that idea, we decided, to apply to an incubator. That was Y Combinator. That's the most prestigious startup accelerator in the world. I don't know if you know it, but it sits in Silicon Valley, obviously. We were Tel Aviv-based. And some of the companies that started in YC are Airbnb themselves, Dropbox, Stripe, Cruise, Reddit, Instacart, Docker, and many more. I think that they published that together all the companies that started in YC are now valued at over $30 billion. So it's a very successful incubator. And we applied, and 3 weeks afterwards, we got this email inviting us, for an interview. And just so you know, just to get this email is a 3% chance to get it. So it's harder than getting into Stanford. And we went to this interview, and the person who interviewed us was Paul Graham himself. And obviously they know a lot about the Airbnb ecosystem, so they asked us really smart questions. And this is us waiting in a Starbucks coffee for the answer. So you basically go to an interview, and you either get a phone call, which means you're accepted, or you get a rejection email. And we were sitting there, spending the time, and then we got the yes. So we got a call, we got accepted into YC, which obviously meant that we had to move to San Francisco. We moved to San Francisco for the duration of the program. That was 3 months, and we didn't know anything. So just like the previous speaker said, we were first-time entrepreneurs. We didn't know entrepreneurship. We didn't do anything we were doing. We just had a really strong conviction to solve this problem. And, that was our first slogan or first flyer, and that was our pricing. One of the things you can see, we knew nothing about pricing. We priced all of our services at $20. Cleaning, unlimited size of home for $20 is crazy. And but we felt that makes sense, and we just did it. And one of the things we didn't do as well is how to get customers. So we went on Facebook groups, and we went even outside. So this is Dolores Park in San Francisco. It's a hipster area where people go and just sit there and have fun. And we created those signs that says, "Do you host on Airbnb?" And we try to attract some customers this way. And fun story is, our first customer was actually a neighbor from just above us, just the apartment above, but we found them in Dolores Park. So it was a very peculiar story. And the other customer here is one of the first homes we cleaned, and he was from a meetup. So we were what it's called growth hacking. We didn't have any money to do paid advertising or anything. So we just try to find as many customers as we could. And we found some friends' homes, and we did as much homes as possible. But basically, we were cleaning homes. I was cleaning 6 homes a day. This is a picture of me cleaning one of our customer base bedrooms. One of the things you can see there is a shoe rack. And there's a funny story with this shoe rack because I was so exhausted. I sat on it, and it broke. And the good story is that the host was supposed to come only 2 weeks later. So I had time to find it on eBay, order it on express shipping just to make sure it's there when the host is back. Obviously, it costed me a lot more than I made on this cleaning, but I had to do it. And this is me and my wife crashed out on a sofa after a long day. The story is that we offered 24/7 guest communication, being only 3 people. So as you can understand, we didn't really sleep at some time. There was some days that we slept for 30 minutes and then did messaging for 30 minutes and set the timer for another 30 minutes, and we just slept in 30-minute increments. And we were exhausted. So we were, once again, this doesn't work. So we went using Y Combinator contacts. We went and met with some of these Uber for cleaning companies, HomeJoy and Exec. By the way, both these companies no longer exist. But we could have predicted because when we met with them, we saw they're exhausted just like we were. No one figured out cleaning as a service still. And we didn't want to be in this game ourselves. We thought there's no competitive advantage for us doing cleaning. We are software geeks. We've been coding since we were kids. There needs to be something we can do better than anyone else in this market. And we decided to move everything to the cloud. Back then, 2014, it was a really hot word, had the buzzword cloud. And we decided, let's do exactly the same things, but in the cloud instead. And that meant doing the guest communication remote, doing the cleaning remote, and doing the laundry and everything remote. That means we had to get a contact from our customer for who is their cleaning person, and we will just organize with them. And that meant that we, competing with these on-the-ground property management companies like ourselves, but for a lot cheaper because we didn't have to have the boots on the ground. And for that reason, we didn't have to stay in San Francisco anymore. San Francisco is extremely expensive, as we mentioned. And because we were in the cloud, there was no real reason for us to be there. So we went back to Tel Aviv, and we rebranded as Guesty, which is our brand right now as well. And with that approach, of being the property management in the cloud, we were able to raise $1.5 million from investors. Again, for every yes we got 40 no's. And for this round, we got 13 yeses. So we got 200 no's. I'm not kidding. We actually had more than 50 meetings each month across 4 months to close this round. And with that money, we started working. And obviously, we had the next setback of, it's not really working. Managing remote teams, having our operational costs, customers were people like ourselves who are on vacation just 2 weeks out of the year. So you spend money on acquiring a customer, then he rents on 2 weeks, and then you have full year of no vacancy, right? So it wasn't really working, and we had a lot of scaling issues. We ran out of money, and our investors were kind enough to give us an extending round of $500K to figure out our things. Another tip I can tell you is never raise money when you have to. It would obviously be on the worst terms you can get, but that actually saved the company, so we're very thankful. And with this thing, we decided, let's see what our competitors were doing. So we went to this conference called VRMA, Vacation Rental Market Association, and there we saw all of our competitors were using crappy technology, right? So we were software geeks. We built such an amazing tool for ourselves, and they were using things that look like Access 97, right? So it's really old, and this is actually the tool that most hotels still use. This is called Opera, and this is like a CRM based, and there's Outlook, and there's a lot of crappy tools that don't talk to each other. So whenever they got the reservation on Airbnb, their Booking.com calendar didn't block, so they had to use another tool, and they don't talk to each other. And that was our light bulb moment for another pivot. Remember, we pivoted from being on the ground to online, and now we pivoted to be a software company. And we decided, let's repackage what we built into a software that we can, instead of competing with these property management companies, sell to them. And we had to let go of all of our customer base, which is really risky and really scary thing to do. But we decided to double down on this because we couldn't see any future for the previous model. And we built this amazing tool that kind of like do everything together, everything in one place, synchronize your Airbnbs with Booking.com and everything. And with only 2 months of doing this, we were able to show the promise to new investors, and we were able to secure another funding. So this was only on the belief stage, we call it, because our investors, these new partners, didn't have any data to confirm that what we were saying is actually truth, right? We just converted it to 2 months ago and had only the beginning of some leads coming in, and they believed in us and gave us this money. Again, 40 no's for each yes. But we were able to do this, and we ran with it for another year. And with the year of information, our investors were a lot more secure and convicted, convinced in our vision. And we were able to get another investor to come in and do a much bigger round that lasted us until now, actually. And a year later, there was a lot more data that short-term rentals are becoming as big as hotels with $169 billion in 2018. Not only that, the software ecosystem on top of short-term rentals is fastly growing to be over $20 billion industry. So that promise with our growth was enabling us to raise our Series C. That was an opportunistic fund. We didn't have to do this round, but we had an amazing investors who came to us and said, like, look, we know the market is going this way. We really believe in you. And with this funding, we just announced it, by the way, 3 months ago. We were able to scale our team once again. And that obviously brings our company total funding to $60 million. We still have most of this money in the bank, which allows us to do a lot of things. And the product right now is a lot of different things, because our vision, being a property manager ourselves, was it's impossible to juggle 20 different tools, right? It's impossible. No human beings can do that. So we want one single tool to go to, and we created every aspect of the business, anything from managing your relationship with homeowners, giving them reports, taxes, accounting, owner's portal, analytics, guest communication, which was the most painful part for us as a young property manager. And it actually works. We were able to show increase for our customers over 100% in annual listings, more than 50 hours saved each week, and an average increase in revenue. So what's next? This year and next year, we really focus on geographical expansion. We already opened an office in Barcelona, in Milan, in LA, and this year we're going to continue with Portugal and Australia. And we're also focused on enterprise sales. Up to now, most of our customers were property managers with some small local offices, right? So they were up to 300, 500 properties. But now we're focused on these megacorps. I don't know if you heard yesterday, there was a big announcement in TechCrunch for 4 companies who are submerging into one brand. It's called Altido. He's actually one of our customers. There was 2 customers of ours plus 2 that weren't customers of ours, and they combined, and now it's one of our big customers as well. And we're going to continue to improve our marketplace. One of the things we do is we look at other successful businesses like Salesforce, for example, And Salesforce did just that. They had a CRM tool, and they built a full marketplace around themselves where people chose Salesforce just because it worked with their existing tools. So we created the full marketplace around ourselves. And some of the tools in our marketplace even compete with our offering, and we are okay with that because it means that everything needs to go through us as well. And that's it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, there is a question. Can we arrange a microphone to you as well very quickly so everybody else would hear your question as well?
I was wondering how your cap. This is Patrick Bosteels. I'm from Turkey. I was wondering how your cap table looks like now, because there was a lot of rounds and some round was like kind of necessary. So that changes. And how did you deal with that? So because I hope you're still a shareholder.
Of course.
And how about the board? I mean, how is the decision making?
So most rounds, big rounds, the leader of the round gets a board seat. It really depends on your negotiation skills. So in our first seed round, we didn't give any board seat because we were able to say, look, we don't know where the company is going yet. Let us figure it out. And we didn't give any board seat in our seed round. But later on, we added one by one. Our board right now is me and my brother, plus 4 of our investors throughout the way. Regardless, whenever you start as sole founder, you have the most equity, but it's out of nothing. And as you grow the company, you have a smaller share, but from a bigger pool. Eventually you try to be at IPO stage with above 10% per founder, hopefully. So that's the goal.
There is one more question there.
I have a question about this business model. Doesn't this still have a bit different parts from a point of view of scaling? I understand certain things have to be done by using such a global platform. But if we think about cleaning a place, isn't it sometimes that some kind of granny of a flat owner will do it and that's it?
No, so let's be frank. Our customers are not owners. They are property management companies. They normally have their own cleaning staff. Sometimes they outsource it. Yeah. We are a software company, so we charge per software tool. So it's just like you pay Adobe as a designer for your Photoshop. So we take either a commission from each reservation or a fixed fee, depends on your location in the world. And eventually we try to make sure that we have enough revenue per property to make our advancement in innovation.
Maybe I misunderstood your pictures, Len, because I got such an impression that you serve also Airbnb and such.
So Guesty is right now connected to Airbnb, Booking.com, HomeAway, TripAdvisor, to all the platforms, and that's how we help our customers be connected and make sure their calendar is in sync and keep prices updated. We also update owners and revenue and a lot of other parts of the business, but we just help them with that. We aren't, our customers are not individual homeowners or things like that.
Okay, thank you so much. The time is up. Give him a big applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.